What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this one, we have Fareed Zakaria on India's rise as a global power. Before we dive into this video, if you guys happen to enjoy it, please don't forget to smash subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you'd like to support this channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit the join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Let's jump right in.
Let's talk about India first.
So my first question, the BJP, you hear a lot from NRIs, meaning people who are Indian but didn't grow up in India.
Non-resident
It is the party in power.
Yep.
It is
Modi.
Modi. So we have a perception growing up here, they're doing horrible things, whatever. I was in India during Operation Sindoor when they attacked Pakistan and talking to people there. I was there on my own. I'm not interacting with my family. Most people go back, talk to their family, only head home.
Yeah.
There's a lot more support there than I thought, than I understood. And I also know these are people living there every day, experiencing it every day, going through actual life there. And we just kind of put being Indian on as a costume and then make assessments. What are your thoughts on Modi, on the BJP, on how India is being governed, etc.?
So India is, I think, in a sweet spot to begin with structurally. It's like it's been doing reforms for 25 years. Those reforms are paying off. It's become a much more market-oriented, growth-oriented economy. You've unleashed Indian aspirations. Average person in India thinks he can move ahead. Amazing. I think it's an amazingly hopeful story of what's happening in India. And it's actually bipartisan. It's been going on across two changes of government. Is a good example of how democracy actually has strengthened the process, because you've now had two different parties in power over 25 years
with continual growth.
Still goes up.
And I wish we had that. In the US, it feels like when one party gets in power, they just basically try to undo everything the last party did, and then it's just continuous cycle of trying to undo everything the last person did and do your own thing and make your mark, and then the next person does and the next person, and we're not progressing because we're not on the same page, and they don't stay in power long enough to actually change anything, and with them both being on trying to undo what the other one does, and nothing ever happens. So ours is just a constant cycle of nothingness.
I think Modi has been a very effective economic manager. He has managed the economy very well. He hasn't done the biggest reforms. He's tried to do some of them, couldn't get through some, made mistakes. But basically, very competent, very hardworking. In foreign policy, he's navigated very well. The sweet spot, again, is for India, that it's not China, that it's a democracy. The Americans want to do deals with it. The Europeans want to do deals with it. The Russians still want to maintain relations. So he's handled all of that well. I think, however, when you look at the issue of two things, one, his authoritarian tendencies and the treatment of Muslims in India, I think you'd have to give him a bad score. Courts in India are less independent than they used to be. The press in India is less independent than it used to be. In fact, there's almost no real, particularly in television, the really powerful independent press in India, which used to be very strong. Treatment of minorities, not just Muslims, Christians, Buddhists. And this is not me. You look at any objective, there are three institutes around the world that rate democracies. And all three of them, Freedom House, the VDEM in Sweden, Freedom House here, have actually put India in the category of almost a non-democracy because of the abuse of the rule of law, the abuse of minorities. So it's a complicated.
But is it? I guess my question is it Western powers that are making these rankings and making these lists, or was that because he said Freedom House in Sweden and Freedom? He said Freedom House here or something like that. So was it also in India that they were like, this is happening? Because I've seen so many videos, and this is kind of the first I'm hearing. I've heard about mistreatment of Muslims, but I know that Muslims and Hindus have had this conflict, it feels like, for a while. And it feels like Muslims mistreat Hindus, and then Muslims also feel mistreated. So both sides are feeling mistreated. And so I don't know that situation. I guess I'll have to take his word because I don't know the real situation in India. Minorities being mistreated, I honestly didn't know about that. He talks about different religious minorities, Christians, Buddhists. He's saying that they're mistreated, so he would give a low score in that situation, in that regard. Y'all talk to me in the comment section. Can y'all kind of expand on that a little bit? Because that's the first kind of that I'm hearing of this in so many videos that I've watched.
Picture where like there's some very very good things happening in India. There's an underbelly to it. Most of the people you're going to meet in India, just to remind you, are India is 85% Hindu.
Hindu, yeah.
And I think that it's also fair to say Modi is very popular. Like this is not happening without public consent or anything like that. He's
Yeah.
very. It's a lot more like Erdogan. Erdogan is whatever you may say. He's won 3 elections, right?
Yeah.
And Modi has won 2 elections. One of them very strongly. The last one he got pulled back a certain amount. So it's like not all good things go together, but I'd say on the whole, India is moving ahead in a very forceful way.
So talking to people there, what I was told, you can tell me if this is true or not, the Congress Party, which was in power before the BJP, would do the same kinds of things. The BJP seems to, if you go against them, they will ruin you. And I've heard the party in power before that, Congress, would do the same thing, but because there was only television back then and no internet, no social media, we never knew about it. Because they could just do it. They controlled the television media. They controlled the newspapers. Nobody's going to find out. Now with the internet, we can call out the BJP, but they've been doing that in India since its inception. That's what I was told.
Right. So, like I said, that's why I better to rely on objective measures used by, these independent think tanks that rate countries on the basis of judicial independence, the number of court rulings that go against the government, the number of times a judge who issues such a ruling is then transferred, to some kind of wild west province like that. Those are the kind of things that they look at.
Oh, wow.
I mean, media is very simple. There's very good data on all this, where basically Erdogan did the same thing in Turkey. There was one independent television channel in India that was really, I wouldn't even say anti-government, anti-BJP. It was very independent and would call it as it saw it.
Yeah.
They decided to ruin it, to destroy it. They launched 4 income tax cases against it. Most people would argue these were bogus cases. The company was ruined. It was then brought to its knees, and then Modi's favorite billionaire steps in and buys it. Like
Adnani?
Adani.
Sorry.
The TV channel was called NDTV.
Okay.
Dang, that is very suspicious in a sense. That is very. I didn't know that. Like, I feel like because I just seen so many videos, but I've never been to India. I've only really heard mostly good stuff. So in every country has like a darker side, a darker underbelly of things that go on that go better if they don't get spoken about. You feel? But yeah, I guess I just became so enamored with India. I didn't think that there'd be a darker side to India as well. And I think that kind of caught me off guard a little. Y'all talk to me in the comment section. If you disagree with anything you're saying, talk to me in the comment section. But let's keep it going.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So those are the kind of things. And you do it once, it's a good demonstration to everybody else. Everybody else falls in line. So, but as I say, I think the truth about India is that it is doing, on some dimensions, is doing very extraordinarily well, and on some dimensions, Modi is an extremely successful prime minister. But look, the BJP in its DNA has always had this very sectorian.
Yeah, you talk about populism, I would say
Right.
India's, yeah.
Right. So, and I mean, to me, somebody like Erdogan or Orban in Hungary are very similar. Like there's a path to power which has always been about saying, I'm against these secular urban elites and and all the everything they represent, and those people what the BJP would say is but the courts were full of these secular urban elites, the media was full of these guys hated us, we had to do something about it. By the way, Trump does. There's a certain amount of that Trump is doing here as well, right? Like why are they trying to defund every NGO and every museum head? I mean, they're going after the Smithsonian. Like, who knew that there was something so bad about dinosaurs? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like there's an idea that that whole class of people are basically left wing, kind of resistors,
Yeah.
and we've got to break them.
I was
And
seeing.
that's, to me, that's wild. But I guess that's government, that's politics wanting to break everybody that supports the other class or the other party, and just feel everything with your party. But I don't know. To me, I just feel like different opinions are an advantage. Can they be a hindrance? Absolutely. Too many chefs in the kitchen spoil the broth. Absolutely. But at the same time, I think just a difference of opinions. Some people may see certain things that you don't, and for them to have that you don't see, and they can bring that to your attention if you guys work together, that would be awesome. Then, yeah. But unfortunately, that's not how it feels like we think anymore. We think that multiculturalism is a hindrance nowadays than an advantage, and that's wild to me.
Chatter, and I think that there might be American ignorance about when we were going through our little negotiations with China. I think a lot of Americans are like, "Hey, India is our homies. Like, why don't we just send all of our
Mhm.
manufacturing over there?"
Yeah, that's what
Is
I
there
was
a
thinking.
misunderstanding on how long it takes to
Thank
develop
you.
efficient production
Thank you. Thank you for asking this question, Andrew, because this is something that I also have been wondering. So I'm so glad that he's asked, and I'm so glad we're about to get the details of if it's even possible. We're about to get the answer if it's even possible from Fareed.
lines, and how long it takes to develop efficient production lines, and how many years would it take to transition those production lines where we could send our manufacturing?
Oh, it would be hugely complicated. To begin with, the biggest challenge would be China was unusually successful at being able to consolidate all this stuff. Think about all the countries it outcompeted to get all this stuff to be in China. And it's not just cheap labor, because there are countries that are cheaper labor than China, all of Africa, right? Like, why did it not all end up in Africa? So the Chinese were amazingly skillful and strategic and hardworking. And if you go to China, you go to these factories, they are mind blowing. I mean, there's a level of scale and the technical expertise of doing it. Secondly, China, most people don't realize, because we now have this idea of China is all bad. The China opened itself up to the world a lot, so it lets in a lot of goods, it lets in a lot of competition. Its firms are very, very competitive and smart, and they don't have a lot of tariffs on intermediate goods. So we were talking about the iPhone, right? So one of the difficulties of moving iPhone production from China to India was the Chinese let all the component parts in with very low tariffs. India is actually the highest tariff country in the world. India and Brazil are the two most protectionist
So when the
countries
parts
in the
come
world.
in, you get in charge.
So
And
when
then when the phone comes out, you get in charge.
right. So the Indian, so the
Oh,
cost.
wow.
So Apple had to work out a special deal with India to get them to lower the cost of all the component parts that were coming in. So now India is competitive because it has low, but it hasn't lowered them for everybody. Right now, there's a kind of series of special deals, but that's what India needs to do. If India wants to really be the next China,
Okay.
it's got to open itself up more to the world, be less protectionist, let all these intermediate goods come in. Then you can start doing the manufacturing, because manufacturing is a combination of manufacturing and assembly nowadays. It's not
Okay.
so you've got to be able to bring in stuff cheaply.
Yeah, I feel like I'm so glad that that question was asked, because that's something that I've always wondered. Um, I didn't know how complicated of a situation it would be, and so like a lot, yeah, we get a lot of things from China. And I was wondering, since we have so much issues with China, I thought like we were nurturing that relationship to India, going to move that business to India, but I didn't know about how complicated it would actually be. I didn't know that India would like those components were all getting tariffed, and for India to be more competitive, they have to open themselves up. Because right now, he said, they got special deals, I guess, with certain companies that are mutually beneficial, right? To where they can bypass the tariffs. But I'm sure these deals are mutually beneficial for both India and the company like Apple. And so they got special deals like that. But I guess he's saying they need to, in order to for the U.S. to shift their business to India, they would have to open themselves up more, so like China has, and get these parts in for cheap and ship them out for cheap. And so I don't know how that situation works. I don't know what all would go into that. Yeah, but it feels like that relationship's kind of being ruined with India right now as well, though. So it seems like that might be falling through as well. And it feels like India, China, Russia, those countries are starting to become more close. So that's all we have. I hope that y'all enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, get a video a thumbs up.